Hi guys, so right behind me is a chicken house, and this is a 2,500 capacity chicken house. Well, in reality it's just 2,000 capacity due to the dimension. It measures 8 meters in width by 20 meters in length, and so that means if you're using 6 birds per square meter, it should be able to take about 2,000 birds. But because I've kept chickens for a long time and I kind of understand the geography of my area and where I'm located, I decided to place 2,500 chickens this side here. And from experience, they've actually done well, because in the very same house I have over the bottom, which is literally a replica of this one over here, I've kept 2,500 chickens and they have done well. And I've spaced birds at 8 birds per square meter in this area, and they do well because my houses are aerated. I give them the correct number of drinkers, give them the correct number of feeders inside. So I'm keeping their 2,500 chickens. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the cost of this structure. But I'm not just going to give you the simple cost. I would love to give you guys the breakdown so that you understand what it actually meant to construct this structure right here. So come on, let's go. Also, you need to note that I'm going to be talking about the figures in US dollars. Of course, I'm in Uganda and I don't pay in US dollars. But I want to talk about it in US dollars because that's the most standardized currency that I can actually get that makes sense for all people all around the world. So first thing is that the entire basis of this structure is poles, yeah? So you can see a pole right here. There are 2 poles actually, 2 poles together. Now one of the poles goes right to the top, as you can see. It moves from down and right to the top. And then the second pole just goes and stops midway through, and it supports the roof of the lower floor, which is actually the floor of the top floor. So I used about 300 poles of all sizes. Yeah, some of them are really big, some of them are tiny, like this one you can see. So this is really tiny, but this one inside here is quite big. So I used about 300 poles, and that cost me about 810 US dollars. All these poles I bought from my dad. My dad has a eucalyptus forest somewhere, so I actually used eucalyptus. I got poles that I skinned, yeah? I removed the peeling from the poles and I used them to construct. So it cost me about 810 US dollars, and he didn't sell to me at a cheaper price. That's the market price that I actually paid. Next step would have been placing the poles into the ground. So as you can see, we had to lay down a foundation. We dug holes while we put the poles into the ground, and we had to level the area, and then after that we had to work on the floor after pouring the concrete that supported the poles. So in order to pour this, which you can see right here, we used hardcore, aggregate, sand and cement. Now on the newer house at the top, the hardcore is kind of hidden, but right here, this is the first house that we built, you can clearly see the hardcore. Yeah, so these huge stones that you see right there, yeah, this is the base. So we used them to fill up the holes and reduce the amount of concrete we had to pour in. So we used a lot of hardcore, as you can see here. Now on the other house, it was plastered on the outside to make it look good, but this is exactly what we use. Also, aggregate are the small stones that are mixed with sand in order to make the concrete that's poured down. So for the hardcore, I only used hardcore worth about $24. The aggregate, I used aggregate worth 216 US dollars. Then sand is generally cheaper than the other materials, despite the fact that I used quite a lot. I only used sand worth about 91 US dollars. And finally, the cement that I used was worth about 362 US dollars. And then once we were done with supporting the structure and pouring the concrete, the next work we had to do was put the chicken wire, you can see the tiny little chicken wire, and the chain link, which is inside. And the main purpose of these 2 things are to prevent entry of things on the inside. We don't want to leave it open. Of course, number 1, to protect the chickens from the inside. You don't want the chickens to come out. You don't want wild animals to go in, humans, thieves to go in. So you place the chain link to protect against, the bigger animals, maybe monkeys, human beings. And then the chicken wire to protect against birds. You don't want any wild birds to go inside, because when birds go inside, birds pose a risk to the chicken house in that they can bring in chicken diseases, fall diseases. Diseases that can affect birds can affect the chickens. So that's why we place these inside here. And also you want to place aeration. So it's important that you either use wire mesh, chain link like I used, or chicken wire. So the chain link cost 210 US dollars. And the chicken wire cost about 91 US dollars. And then of course, after placing that, the next thing are the iron sheets. Oh, I forgot to talk about the roofing. but the roof and literally all the sides, literally most of this structure is made from iron sheeting, as you can see, just like that structure. The roof, the sides, you know, the upper and lower sides, the sides right here, everything is made from iron sheeting. So as you can imagine, iron sheet takes up a huge percentage of the cost of the chicken house itself. So I used 200 iron sheets. Our iron sheets over here are said to measure 10 feet in length, but about 3 feet in width. But recently, I've noticed they keep getting shorter. I don't know, maybe the ministry or the authorities in charge of standardizing are not doing their work, because the iron sheets keep getting shorter. It's not exactly 10 feet. I think it's 9 feet and some inches. Same thing with the width. It used to be 1 meter. It's no longer 1 meter. It's actually even less than 3 feet these days. So that's really terrible. But I used about 200 iron sheets to construct this chicken structure, as you can see here. And the total cost of the iron sheeting was $1,255 US, which is by far the highest cost of anything on this chicken house. Now the other thing that I need to show you guys is on the inside, so I'll have to move in. So we'll step into our foot bath right here, which was also built using cement and sand, by the way. And then once we get in, you can see the top right here, yeah? And the top is literally made from timber, as you can see. So we have these poles. We've already made the costing for the poles. So this is the timber that you can see, yeah? So literally the entire roof is made from timber. Quite an amount of timber. That is what is being stood on by the chickens at the top. And then also, if you see very carefully, you'll notice that there's some space in between the pieces of timber. You know, this is one piece of timber, this is another piece of timber. The two pieces of timber could never align perfectly. Same thing right here. So that which you see inside there is plywood. So in the places where there was huge spaces, we put plywood. For example, here there is no space, so there was no need for plywood. But right here, we had to put plywood to make sure that the litter at the top does not pour down. So the timber cost me about $701 US, while the plywood cost me $35 US. The plywood is really cheap. And then of course there is the nails, yeah? Literally the entire house is held together by nails. They are what I used to join this to this. You can see this metal sheeting. We use a nail to put it inside there. Nails are what I used to join the chain link next to the posts. Nails, as you can see at the top, are what I used to join this timber next to this. The entire house is literally held together by nails. So the nails I used to construct the entire structure cost about $349 US. And then we'll move out through a door. So as you can clearly see, the structure has two doors. Yeah, this one door for the lower floor, and another door right there for the top floor. So the two doors cost $43 US. And then there was transport, which is the amount of money that we use to transport most of the raw materials over here, yeah? So I have a tricycle. It was very helpful in bringing some of the materials, but some of the suppliers actually delivered some of the equipment here. For example, the timber, the wood, some of the guys who supplied some things delivered, but some of the things we delivered ourselves. So the cost of transport wasn't too high, honestly, because most of the raw materials were coming from nearby here. So it cost us $154 to deliver most of the material right here. And then the labor for constructing the house, you know, we had quite a number of guys during the construction. We had a different roofing team. The guys who are building the sides were totally different. The guys who put up the poles were the same guys who did the sides. And then we had the team that put in the wooden floor on the inside. So we had about 3 teams working on the chicken house right here. And the labor cost about $880 US. Now, I don't know if that's expensive for you in your country. I feel like that's quite cheap, honestly. But yeah, it's good enough. And then finally, the other thing is the food. And the food is the shocker, guys. For the food, for all the time that the guys were constructing, it only cost us $43 US. That's why all you guys need to come and live in Africa. You need to come and live in Uganda. Look at all the food around, you know, look at the matoke right there, you know, banana bunches and everything. We have a lot of food around, and honestly, it's not too expensive, yeah? So that only cost us about $43 US. So the entire cost for the construction of this chicken house over here is a whopping, well, I don't know if it's a whopping or only, maybe I can say only $5,278 US. Guys, tell me what you think. Is that too much? That's slightly more than what it costs to build that chicken structure. We built that chicken structure about a year ago, and it costs slightly more, maybe about $150 or $200 more to construct this chicken structure compared to that one. Yeah, they were relatively the same price. So tell me, I feel like that's a bit of a cheat code. Yeah, because you can construct this chicken house for way more, for way more. But due to the fact that I can construct it going upwards, I save a lot of space. I feel like that's a good price to construct this chicken house. So tell me in the comment section below if you think it's an expensive house. Do you think you can build it for cheaper in your place? I've told you guys the cost of the raw materials. Are these raw materials cheaper in your place or not? No. For me, I feel like it's okay, it's okay. It's quite a lot, but honestly, it's okay. Maybe because I've reached the point where I can afford it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Bye-bye.